Hello everybody, and welcome to this IALD webinar, and thank you very much for joining in. I'm a lighting designer. I'm based in Australia. I'm a member of the IALD, as Jennifer just mentioned, and chair of the task force set up by the IALD in mid-2010, originally to examine the feasibility of a credential for architectural lighting designers. I hope that in the next little while this will be an informative session, and at the end of the presentation, as Jennifer intimated, there will be an opportunity for questions which Judy or I will hopefully be able to answer for you. So let's start with the presentation. I expect many people participating in this webinar are IALD members, but as a quick overview for others, I'll just outline some key characteristics about the organization. It's a global organization of architectural lighting designers, and it's an association dedicated to the concerns of independent lighting designers to set global standards. The IALD is governed by a board of directors. There are 11 of them, with members from 6 countries. The current president is Kevin Theobald, who is based in the UK, and we have directors from Mexico, Tokyo, Germany, Australia, UK, and the USA. So it is truly international, but notwithstanding, the IALD wants to build membership by promoting the values of lighting design, and it's hoped that a credential will reinforce the value that lighting design brings to projects and people. Now, as part of so the IALD's mission is to serve its worldwide membership by promoting the visible success of members in practicing lighting design. And as part of its mission, the IALD believes that it has a leadership responsibility, and its efforts regarding the exploration and development of a global credential is part of the association's commitment to this responsibility, to this leadership. The vision, the IALD vision, is to create a better world through leadership and excellence in lighting design, to cultivate the universal acknowledgement and appreciation of the power of light in human life. Now, as part of the IALD's vision and undertaking to leadership, it created a strategic priority to explore a professional certification in architectural lighting design. Let's just give you a little snapshot of the efforts to date. The IALD Board of Directors formed a credentialing task force in mid-2010. Now, that task force comprised of Barbara Horton, who's President-elect, Rosemary Allaire, David Gatan, Patrick Gallegos, Victor Palacio, Charles Thompson, and myself as chair. The IALD was also very conscious of the need to engage with other organizations, and the task force also includes from the PLDA Glenn Schrum, and we've had input from Professor Heinrich Kramer, as well as input from Robert Silic, who represented NCQLP. So the task force was charged with a feasibility study on the viability of a certification program, and it was a 2-year assessment, and the consultation process involved presentations and questionnaires, and perhaps some of you will have participated in those questionnaires. Webinars, this is perhaps the 4th or 5th webinar that we've run. Representations and straw models, and a number of other sort of processes in order to get feedback. The task force recommendations took 2 years, and right now we are engaging in some studies using alpha and beta groups in order to test application instructions and assumptions. I'm going to hand this next couple of slides over to Judy, and Judy, I will advance the slides, but if you'd like to take the audio.
Thank you very much, David, and it's a real pleasure to meet with all of you today. The concept of credentialing is very interesting. There's different types of credentials, and sometimes there's confusion over what a certification is compared to other things. One is a certificate program. Organizations, IALD included, give out certificates when you have completed an educational course. And many of you may have already earned certificates from different educational groups or other professional societies. Accreditation, however, is also a credential, but it's a credential given to organizations and not to people. And we accredit universities, we accredit schools, we accredit professional disciplines, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Licensure is unique to the United States. Licensure is a credential that is mandatory. In other words, you cannot practice your profession without being licensed by the state in which you live. But the rest of this presentation is about certification. And certification, most importantly, is voluntary. You are not required to get it. This is something that people go after because they believe in it. They think it's a demonstration of their commitment to their discipline, their profession, and they want to prove to their customers and colleagues that they are able to achieve a set of standards. You can go to, thank you, David. In IALD and PLDA specifically, there's also some confusion over being a professional member compared to certification. Professional members do, in fact, go through a peer review. They submit examples of their work, and peers review that and say that work meets their standards, and therefore they earn a professional membership. Also, professional membership, certainly within IALD, is based on your business model as well, how you practice. Certification is different. It is not professional membership. The most important thing about it is it was based on a job task analysis. We went out to review the discipline. David will tell you more about that in a moment. And that job analysis produced standards. So then when people submit work, it's not a peer review. The peer review is, the review you go through is whether or not you meet those particular standards, okay? And also, certification expires. It has a shelf life. So every so many years, you would you have to not quite fully reapply, but you have to be recertified. Anyway, that's the difference. We do want to make clear that professional membership is not the same as certification. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Judy. So why certification? The task force reached a decision that the profession has reached a point where there is a body of knowledge that exists for the profession to define itself and to set standards for competence in the field. And we feel that there's a danger that if the profession doesn't define itself, others will try and define the profession for us through licensing, as was the case in Texas, which some of you may be aware of. Additionally, if the IALD does not spearhead these efforts, then at some time there is the risk that another organization or organizations will try and do it for them. So the proposed certification program presents we think, a unique and time-limited opportunity for the IALD to help guide the efforts in defining what architectural lighting design is and what constitutes competence in the field. Why would we certify? Well, there's a demand from outside, from consumers, government agencies, and others for due diligence. Basically, people want to know the criteria for competency in a professional field. There's inside demand from practitioners who want to set themselves apart in the marketplace and to be recognized for a high level of competency. This is a differentiator. They want to be able to differentiate themselves from pretenders or less skilled practitioners. And then the other reason, as I just sort of hinted at on the previous slide, is to avoid interference and regulation, to avoid licensure and restrictions imposed by outside agencies. And just to refer to Texas again, Texas was a very real risk that could have severely affected the lighting design profession in about 2009, I think it was, in that state. Legislation was proposed that would mean that only architects and engineers would be qualified to provide professional lighting design. And somewhat bizarrely, this would also have applied to theatre lighting designers. The IALD believes a valid certification process will prevent a repeat of this situation. And so a credential provides a level of insulation by determining a recognized level of competence. In 2012, August 2012, the task force finished its 2-year-long feasibility study and made a presentation to the IALD Board of Directors and strongly recommended that a certification should be established in architectural lighting design. And it further recommended that the credential should be global, and there should be a global credentialing commission to administer and grant the certification. Architectural lighting design certification. Well, these are a few bullet points that captured, and we'll talk about these in a little bit more detail. But the basis of the task force recommendation for a certification is that the certification is international in scope, which recognizes that what we do is global in nature. It is evidence-based. There's no exam, and it's not driven by any particular curriculum. It's performance-based, focused on demonstrating competence. This is competence when judged against defined criteria, and it lends the credential should lend legitimacy to an emerging profession, according to credentialing industry best practices. So, the heart of a credential really is the areas of expertise or the domains of practice. And these domains of practice have been identified through intensive research and validated through global surveys of yourselves, other designers, and building professionals. Each domain has clearly defined proficiency requirements, and we're going to take a look at this because this is the criteria against which somebody would acquire a credential. So these domains of practice, here they are. They are the areas of expertise which will form the basis of assessment for competency. And you can see them there, and I'm going to go through them one by one and just talk about them in summary. So the first domain of practice is goals and outcomes. And this relates to whether the results really meet all the expectations and ambitions. And the statement that relates to goals and outcomes says, the design of lighting solutions that satisfy the project requirements and the design intent so that the solution performs as expected. That's domain number 1. The second one is about collaboration. In effect, did the designer work effectively in the project team to add value to the process? And the statement says the interaction with other disciplines by serving as an integral member of the team so that lighting relates to its context and adds value to the project. Ingenuity, domain number 3. Well, ingenuity should be our stock in trade, and it's defined here as being the contribution of ideas that demonstrate innovation, creativity, originality, imagination, or resourcefulness to foster the goals of the project. In essence, is the design creative, inventive, and resourceful? The fourth domain of competency is synthesis, and to a large degree this is the core, I believe, of a magical space, the seamless integration of artistry and technical systems to create a harmonious outcome. And synthesis is defined in the credential as being the integration of the technical and aesthetic elements of lighting with space and form. Science being whether the lighting designer has used appropriate technology and scientific methods to solve problems. The demonstration of how light interacts with building, materials, and building systems by applying the principles of light to meet the relevant technical criteria. Stewardship. This is a term that the task force knocked around for quite some time, but it's really about it's really about responsibility beyond duty of care, and it's defined here as the response to known and potential social and environmental impact by designing solutions that avoid or minimize harm, discomfort, or waste. Perhaps captured as being whether the designer has shown care and leadership on social and environmental fronts in their application of light. And the last domain of practice is perhaps the most important. Does the design improve the experience for people? So those are the 7 domains of practice, and these are absolutely pivotal to defining whether somebody is proficient and expert in the field of lighting design. And these domains of practice will really set the tone and will be the benchmark against which submissions and portfolios and written material will be submitted and assessed against. So how will it work? Well, as Judy mentioned in a few slides ago, candidates will submit a portfolio of work and other evidence. They will be required to demonstrate their achievements against the assessment criteria of the domains. The portfolio will be reviewed in terms of the stated performance. The performance criteria really is essentially the ability to show proficiency in the 7 domains that we've just been through. The portfolios and the submission material will be reviewed by 2 reviewers who will be trained in the subject matter. They'll be experts in their field. And it should be noted that professional level members of approved lighting associations such as the IALD or PLDA will be able to submit fewer examples to demonstrate competence because they will have already gone through quite a process in order to acquire their professional level membership. Now, candidates will be... I'm sorry, I missed a slide there. Governance. Representatives will... there'll be a board that will be created to manage governance, And the board will be made up of representatives from lighting design associations, the IALD, PLDA, etc., and others. And there will also be representatives from related stakeholder organizations, architects, facility managers, and the like. Key here is that the governance will be independent. Now, the IALD will, in the business plan and the costing and analysis of this, it's believed that the IALD will utilize staff only in order to provide administration and management services. The business plan really has predicted costs against a number of scenarios, and the credential requires the buy-in from other organizations, but initially the finances will most likely depend on the IALD. But ultimately, financial and administrative independence is a key goal. So where are we today? We're 3 years into this, and currently we're conducting an alpha test, and the alpha group is a group of people that have been charged with the responsibility or asked to go through the process to determine whether the directions are clear. Are the requirements in the application legible? Do applicants understand what's required? And the alpha group is a group of people specifically chosen across international boundaries who have skills and experience to acquire a credential. And we're currently assessing with feedback. Then the next step after that, and we're about to embark on this any moment, is really to run the credential past the beta group to confirm that the process accurately measures proficiency. This is a group of people from a more diverse experience range than the alpha group, and a broader range, and people who've had a broader range of experience in the profession. This is the timeline. 2013, where we are now, we're just concluding the alpha test, and we're just about to start the beta testing. Later this year, the task force will provide a final review and a presentation to the board, and it's expected that there will be approval from the IALD board, and in 2014, the hope is that there will be a program launch. Now, that's the conclusion of the slide deck. Now, I'm very happy to answer questions, Judy or myself, and hopefully we'll be able to, if there's any questions, we'll be able to give you some guidance there. I should also say that there's a list of frequently asked questions, which is quite good, and you can get these off the website. Contact the IALD via email or via the web. So, Jen, I guess I'll hand that over to you to field the questions.
Well, it seems that your presentation was so full of information that no one has any questions thus far. Just a reminder, we're taking questions via the question and answer panel, which should be on the right side of your screen. So if you have any questions, we can field them now.
Well, in the absence of a question, I'd just like to reiterate something that Judy mentioned when she went through the different types of credentialing, and this is perhaps the most common query we've had is about what is the credential program and what does it really mean, and it really ought to be made abundantly clear that we are approaching credentialing as a certification. It's a voluntary process. It's not something that people have to sign up for. It doesn't. If you don't have a credential, it will not remove your right to practice. that of course is much more aligned with licensing. This is a voluntary process, and it's hoped that over time that it will become accepted and regarded as being a very important, if not a key, determinator of somebody's competency, and will have real currency in the marketplace. But initially, it is a voluntary process, and we recognise as a task force that initially this will take perhaps some time to get some traction. And so we're being fairly modest with our plans right now, albeit that this is fairly new ground, and we have got no clear way of measuring how things will progress. But being a global credential, the expectation is that it will quickly gather pace.
Well, I have a question here from Jonathan Hodges, and he's wondering about the beta process and if we have enough beta participants yet.
Jonathan, thank you for your inquiry. I'm just going to hand that over to Judy, who's a little bit closer to the management of these things than I am. And I know that we had another inquiry earlier in the week, Judy, and are you able to sort of give Jonathan some feedback on that, whether there's opportunity for him to join the beta group?
Certainly. Thank you very much for your interest. The answer is yes. You may participate, and we would be very interested. What you need to do is send your connection or contact information to credentials@IALD.org, and we will put you in the list. The beta group will start in July, so we will be very happy to add you to the list.
Jen, do we have any more questions?
Sorry about that. Was having problems with the mute on my phone. And we are in need of other beta testers, so if any attendees on the phone would be interested in participating and helping us test our application process, it would be extremely helpful. I do have another question, and it's a follow-up from Jonathan. And his question is, given that this isn't licensing, do you foresee there being any negative impact on designers who fail in their application?
This is Judy. I guess I don't. I would hope there would be no negative effect. If one, let's say, did not pass, they should get feedback. They should know why they did not pass. If anything, it should enable them to say, oh, I need to focus more on that. So it should be a developmental experience. It will not be made public. There's not going to be a list of people who failed on the website. Only the people who passed, only the people who have achieved the designation will be visible and recognized. We will not be telling people who have applied, and that's not what it's about. However, if one does apply and you do not meet the standards in your current projects that you submitted, you will get feedback and you're able to resubmit. It's not like you get one chance and never again. So you'll be able to do that. But more importantly, you'll know why. Because it's evidence-based, you'll say, oh, that's what I needed to do. My past experience with performance-based and evidence-based credentials is that failure can be minimized, if not even eliminated, by making sure people are ready. These domains and the application and what you have to demonstrate will not be a secret. People will know. You will know. So you'll be able to, before you even submit, you will say, oh, that's what I have to prove. Oh, that's what I have to show. Oh, that's the evidence I have to give. And you will be able to assess your own readiness. So it is our intent that people apply when they're ready. They are not premature in their application process. We do not want failures. We want people to succeed because they are ready, because they are proficient, and because their work meets the standards.
And just to add to that, Judy, the application material actually is quite clear on eligibility. And to reiterate what Judy says, we don't want people to feel negative about this. We want it to be a positive experience, and it's not an exam where people should get a sense of failure. The intent is that people apply when they're ready to, and there's absolute clarity as to what is required of you before you make that submission.
Okay, our next question comes from Laura Elbaz, and she's wondering how local associations, she's with IAPTE in Spain, she wants to know how local associations can help participate in the process.
Well, this, David, I'm sure you'll have comments, but from Judy's standpoint, local groups can let their members know about it. They can look at the standards and facilitate conversations among their colleagues about what these standards mean and how meeting those standards will actually enhance their position in the marketplace as well as promote the field. They may also want to recommend people to participate in the beta test. David, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I think there's that, and going forward, in 12 months' time, when we are when we're sort of finalising the governance, I think that we would be very interested in talking to these local organisations and with a review to them being part of the operation of the credential.
I'll just follow up. This is Jen from IALD headquarters, and say, Laura, if you have any particular members that you feel would be beneficial for us to have in the beta test, we're looking for designers with more than 7 years of experience and designers for less than 7 years of experience, so that we can test the application process and make sure that that is solid. So if you would like to email some suggested people for participation, you can go ahead and email credentialing@IALD.org with that information. And then Laura says that she'd like to be part of the beta group. We would love to have you as part of the beta group.
Excellent.
Yay. Well done, Laura. Thank you.
And then that is the end of the questions that I have in the question and answer panel.
Well, if there are no more questions, I'd like to thank everybody for listening in. I'd like to thank those people who did ask questions, and we would obviously be very pleased to hear from you at the email address that's on the screen, and can assure you that you'd get a prompt reply.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I think that wraps up our session. Gail, would you like to go ahead and close the session?
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, as Jennifer just said, this concludes our session for today. You may now disconnect. You can close your web browser, and this will disconnect you from the session. Or you can click on File and then Leave Event, and then that will close the session for you. Once again, have a nice day, and thanks a lot for your participation.